Hi guys, this is Fernando Academia from TLDR Digital Marketing. In today's video, we will be talking about 4 dimensions of community building for management consultants and executive coaches. But before I tell you to stick around, let me tell you who this video is for and who should start clicking away. This video is for management consultants and executive coaches who, number 1, who are strategic at what they do and appreciate efforts that aim for long-term growth in their practice. Number 2, those who actively take part in their coaching and consulting process and do not just send course materials and let enrollees do the work on their own. Number 3, those who genuinely want to make an impact in the lives of their clients. This video is not for those who want to get a quick buck and get results really quick. Number 2, not for those coming from a scarcity mindset, especially because they need money ASAP. Number 3, this is not for fake gurus or those who got into coaching without real experience or expertise. And number 4, this is not for people who do not have an effective program in place. So, if you feel that this video is for you, please stick around and let's dive into today's topic. In my years of doing online marketing for organizations and businesses, but also for missionary work, I realized that there are 4 main dimensions that a marketing message goes through. From when it is conceived or thought about, spoken about or implemented as a social media content, received by the audiences, until the message takes roots and organically gathers like-minded people around that message. I will mention some religious references because these dimensions are adapted from the 4 dimensions of communication theology. But this is definitely fitted to work for consulting and coaching practice. So number 1 is the Trinitarian Communication, or in our terms, the self-talk. In Catholic teachings, this is when the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, 3 persons in one God, are communicating with each other in inner Trinitarian movements. Put it in a practical context, this happens when you try to dig deep in your beliefs and values to craft that core message that you would want to put out. Break down a plan how you do it, and put in standards to measure it by. And for this, I'd like to model Disney's creative strategy of having 3 personas: the dreamer, the realist, and the critic, when trying to come up with big dream plus down-to-earth actionable plans. Let me run through those personas quickly. First, the dreamer persona is in charge of blurting out the best case scenarios, the life or business vision, or the big magical dream. The realist persona is in charge of pulling out a calendar to plot out a plan, how the dream can be achieved, how long would it take for that dream to be realized, and what are the possible ways to get there. The critic persona will question everything you've built, compare it with your previous failures, check on the parts where you lack in terms of assets, resources, and competencies, and do the needed pruning to get that magical dream, a very down-to-earth estimation, how things will happen. The critic persona can also pinpoint areas where failure is imminent, so you can prepare for it early on. If you want an in-depth discussion of the dreamer, the critic, and the realist applied to marketing, let me know in the comments below, and if there's enough requests for it, I would get into it in my next videos. So the first one was the Trinitarian Communication, or the self-talk. The second one is the revelation, or the show and tell. In the Catholic faith, this is how the Trinitarian God reveals himself and communicates with his creatures to make them his partners. He reveals himself through creation and grace. In practical marketing terms, this is the part where you have finished crafting your core message and you intentionally tell people about it as you implement it across your platforms where your audiences congregate. This is essentially the creation process and how you impart your message. Number 3 is incarnation, or action. In the Catholic teachings, incarnation is the high point of God's communication, when He did not just communicate through prophets and words, but through the birth of Jesus and the circumstances in the life of Jesus on earth. Simply put, this is the Word made flesh. In practical terms, this is when you don't just speak of your message you want to communicate anymore, but your message would resonate from the things that you do in your coaching or consulting practice. This is when you slowly build up a reputation that speaks for itself because of the results you've led your clients to achieve. In a nutshell, this is when people start to recognize your message by observing your actions. All of these previous dimensions and steps lead to the fourth one, the creation of the church or the community building effect. In the Catholic tradition, this is also called the sending of the church. To continue the Trinitarian communication that happened in the revelation, the incarnation, into the here and now of all times and places. In marketing terms, this is the stage where your message has somehow taken root and start to organically draw in together a number of followers or building a community of people who subscribe to your beliefs and perspectives. But also, this is having a community that shares the same message to their own clout. And the good thing about knowing these dimensions is that this whole process is replicated in your audience's mind, generating a self-talk in their own minds. When you notice this, you'll get a deeper appreciation why Robert Collier said, always enter the conversation already occurring in your prospect's mind. Because as a marketer, you must always aim to influence that self-talk in your ideal customer's head. Or else, someone else will. Perhaps your competitor, another thought leader or influencer, and so on. But this also moves them to perform certain actions, which may or may not include engaging with your content, or purchasing your product, or subscribing to your service. Most of which should be directed by your call to actions or CTAs. Then, your audience's creative process comes into play as they come up with their own content, their own message, and outputs that later on influence a change in behavior, personal life, relationship with their families, friends, and co-workers, outputs and outcomes in their work, which essentially is the transformation they get from having undergone your coaching program. Then at the end, hopefully everything ties back in to people coming together under a single Facebook group, YouTube subscriber base, or perhaps your notification squad, or perhaps your own Clubhouse channel or linking groups, among many others. This is where the saying, building a cult-like following, comes in. So, why is this important for management consultants and executive coaches? It's because essentially the whole flow of how you develop, share, and get people on board your particular process or ideology comes in. This can also educate or inform how you develop your own marketing funnel in the long run. And for me, as a certified partner for digital marketer, I have always been a fan of the customer value journey, or the CVJ, because it maps out an extensive journey from communicating with strangers, getting a sale and turning them into customers, but also ascending them to become promoters and a community of advocates for your brand. So, that's it for today's video. If you like this video, consider clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel. And while you're at it, ring that notification bell so you can be alerted for when new high-value content such as this one is released. That's it for now, guys. See you in the next video. Take care.